I guess so, yeah. Like a kid with a Christmas present.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my goodness. Hey y'all, welcome to the Gen X Cynics. I'm your host, Kalori Gamerchick, along with
Axiom.
yeah.
That's it. I'm just saying axiom. That's it. You can't make me say anything else.
Oh my goodness.
And now I shall just stay here and stare at you.
Thank you all for the well wishes. Last week I was just feeling kind of off and in pain, so we took some time off, watched mythological stuff. We had a pretty good week of watching things, and we wanted to talk about adaptations from comic books to movies, TV to movies, things that start out one format and move to another. We're also going to talk about the Rick and Morty series finale. Well, not series, not going with season finale, what we thought about it.
So that you already said it.
And the Matrix trailer.
Cartoon Network already heard you. They were in the process of canceling it even as we speak.
No. We're not putting that out there. But it was a good week for escapism, I felt. And we wanted to talk last week about stuff because we've watched so many things that were one format to another. Kami-sama Kiss was one of the animes that we got finished watching. That while I loved the first season because I felt like it stayed close enough to the books but changed it enough to keep it interesting, second season didn't really do it for me. So I was talking with Axiom about how we both felt about when they translate stuff over from books to visual format.
Yeah, and for the most part, they do an okay job. There's some stuff like Full Metal Alchemist that the first series, I know a lot of people love it, but they veered way away from the source material on it, and you can see that in the animation and how they just ended up in a weird place and they didn't really sure what to do with it, I don't think. And then when they did Brotherhood and they stuck right to the manga of it, it was a lot. That's just the alert saying that we're live.
Okay.
It was a lot better of a story in my opinion than the Full Metal. I know a lot of people say they want to go the opposite way with it, but I was like, for me, I was much more
into the story,
pulled into the story because it didn't involve two different worlds. You got to meet characters that didn't even come out in the first one. That I was just like, why didn't they bring that into the first story?
Yeah.
You know, as like I get that when they go to animate a book story or a novelization series, that they want to give it something new. That okay, well you read that in the book, now you're going to see it in the cartoon. There's no, or the anime or whatever. There's no surprises there because if you read it, you already know what's going to happen.
But sometimes that's what we want.
See that. That's what we want to see, that thing animated so that we can enjoy it without having to read 15 books.
That was one of my arguments with Horimiya. I was excited and I loved what they did with the series. It just broke my heart that they rushed it and compact all of it into one season. So we didn't get some of the lighthearted stuff that a lot of people are like, oh, it's fluff. And I get the argument against fillers. We're gonna have a Bleach rant soon about that. But I feel like
she's going to have a Bleach rant about that. I'm just going to sit back with a glazed over look at my face going, it doesn't exist past Eisen. I don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like fillers work in certain things, especially rom-coms like Horimiya. And one of the things that a lot of us was hoping for with that anime was that whole arc where they had the school festival and the spirit thing that they do where Hori dresses up like a male cheerleader. I love that comic panel. It made me holler with laughter when I first read it, and I was looking forward to seeing it acted out because I could just see the Miyamura's deadpan face saying, I'm so conflicted right now, as he sees his girlfriend dressed up like a male cheerleader. And they didn't do it. We got a panoramic photo ending to the series with her in that outfit. And I was like, it would have been so perfect.
Right.
So I get that filler irks people, but some stories have that. And then some filler doesn't make sense. I'm a Sailor Moon fan. I have never had that, but I cannot watch the old series like I used to because of the Anal saga and stuff that was never in the books, you know. And for me, I feel like the anime veered so far away from what she was going with her characters that I loved Crystal because it felt like she was bringing it back. That the focus is on them growing up, getting stronger, and finding roots to their past. And I just feel like a lot of shows just don't make that connection. They just think, no, we want to keep it. It's like The Walking Dead. They want to keep it different because they feel like the fans will see right through it or know what's going to happen. But sometimes we want that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like if you're gonna make something off, like if you're gonna make a comic book movie off of a comic and characters that are in that comic, you have to make that movie for the people that love that comic. And other people will like it. Yeah, you can make some changes, but you can't make something totally not uh,
Respect the
is.
canon at least.
Yeah, like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
That was gross.
That is nowhere near what Super Mario Brothers movie should have been.
Yeah.
And I get, back in the 90s, they didn't really have, a great like now people that want to go out and make a comic movie, yeah, they've got great history of people.
We've got CGI. Movies. We could have made the Coopers look like Coopers.
Yeah, but it's like if you go so far away from the source material to like, well, I wanted to make this, and you didn't read any of the source material, you didn't play any of the games, you didn't do anything that could give you any feedback on there. You made a movie that nobody liked. I mean, I like it just because it's horrible. It's one of those movies.
He likes bad movies, y'all.
It's one of those movies that is just so horrible that you have to laugh at it.
Nah,
and it has the one guy in it from Roger Rabbit. What's his name?
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah, Bob Hoskins. I love that guy.
Yeah.
So I'll watch it just to see him in there being Mario.
You're nicer than me. I can't.
You can't completely dismiss and be like, oh, I'm just going to make this and people will like it because it's got this title on it. No, yeah, you're going to have probably like 3 or 4 people that are going to do that, but you're going to waste money and you're going to damage the franchise to get another movie.
The biggest flop for that, too, is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love the original series. I don't hate Korra. I just couldn't get with it once they made it clear that Aang was gone. Because for me, Aang was the heart of the show. So I didn't enjoy Korra as much as I enjoyed the first series, but I love the series and what it brings in whole. And what pissed me off about M. Night Shyamalan's version of it was not just the obvious stuff of him whitewashing the characters. He took an exciting story and made it into a fucking snooze fest. Mm-hmm. He took a story that is basic. You have this kid who has immense powers that just wants to be a kid, but he has the whole world trying to chase him. It's a simple story that could be done well with any director, but he wanted to make it all visual hoo-ha instead of focusing on the story and bringing the effects after the fact. Nobody really thought that much about the actual bending in the show until the fight scenes. We were drawn into Aang and Katara and all the characters, and he just got away from that. And when you take something that people love because we love the characters, we want to root for these characters, we care about what happens to them, and you go, oh no, we just want to show the fluff, we just want to show the action sequences, and then you make those a dud. Like, what was that? When you see the rock bending fight, I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I could throw a rock faster than some of those scenes. It was embarrassing.
Well, that and the like the Dragon Ball Evolutions movie.
Oh, that was terrible.
As I had the complete theater to myself, and while I was sitting there, I actually reached over to the seat next to me to try to change the channel because I was just like, okay, you're losing me. I'd rather just watch something else. And then I realized, oh no, I'm in a movie theater. I'm not, just watching something at home. And it had some source material from the show and everything, but it was basically nothing like it. They went to it was almost like they tried to mix Dragon Ball and Avatar. And when you hear the guy that was playing Master Roshi, I'm blanking on his name, talk about to use the Kamehameha wave, you are bending the air and energy around you, and I was like, that's nothing like what that was in the cartoon at all or in the manga. He says it completely differently. I was like, why are you trying to mix bending elements to him just using his ki?
Yeah.
And to have Goku be basically the adult version of Gohan is kind of what they did. They kind of just like mashed everything together. It was like, all these people that love Dragon Ball will just adjust to this, and it's like, no, it's a
No,
horrible movie.
it really is.
I bought it as a punishment. I waited till it hit the $5 bin, and I have it still wrapped up. I have not watched it, but I'm going to use it as a punishment to somebody. I'm just going to duct tape them to a chair and make them watch it on loop. And why wasn't Piccolo green?
Yeah,
why was Piccolo some pasty white color? Like he was, like he could have been green at one point, but they just kind of, oh, we can't have him be too green. People will think he's a piece of grass. And I was like, wait a second,
that doesn't make sense.
He didn't even have antenna. Yeah. He had little grooves in his head that looked like they could have been antenna. And I was like, no, he had antenna.
Yeah.
I've seen fan-made stuff that looked better. The
cosplays.
Not even cosplay. There's a YouTube series where they did the future Trunks, and they actually show like key blasts happening fast-paced. So like it, in the cartoon, it's like, I'm gonna fire this at you, and 5 episodes later, it finally hits.
Yeah,
it's like it's supposed to be a time dilation there. They actually show fast pace is happening and people just moving and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, they just did this as fans. But can you imagine what they could have done if they would have given half the money to the production crew to them to do?
But what I mean is, I've seen people who have dressed up as Piccolo, who made it look better than these people who get millions of dollars to put out these big budget movies.
Oh yeah,
which makes me mad. And they did it with Sonic as well.
The X-Men movie,
yeah,
Apocalypse. I saw somebody do an Apocalypse cosplay for Comic-Con, and it looked way better. I was like, why didn't they pay that guy?
Exactly.
I mean, that guy just made it for himself, and he could have just walked on set.
Yeah, fan input matters. When Sonic the Hedgehog, before the movie came out, was first launched, that trailer with the human teeth, I think we all collectively said nope.
Yeah.
Like, hard pass, everybody said it. Like, there's no way we are going to sit in a movie theater with Sonic with teeth like that.
Yeah.
We noped it. And they got people who were like, no, we're going to show you what Sonic should look like. And then they adjust it.
Yeah.
So listening to fans might not always be your cup of tea, looking at you, Nintendo, who seem to hate your fans.
Right.
But we have input because we want to see these things live. We want to enjoy what we see live because we've been using our heads for a lot of this. A lot of us who read especially, we already are visualizing the scenes of this stuff. But the thing is, we hope that the person that's going to put it to the big screen is doing the same thing, and a lot of times just honor it.
And when they went back and said, we are going to fix this, we are going to make right by this, we heard you guys complain and everything.
Yeah.
I love that. I went right online and I said, this earned a movie ticket. I don't care how abysmal the movie is.
It was
funny. I will gladly pay for the ticket to see this movie now because they listened to the fans and they put in the extra work to make it right. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, it was a stunt for the to draw more attention to the movie. I was like, no, they had toys, they had stuff
that shit was creepy
to launch based on that original design.
Ugh.
And my thing is I'm hoping that a lot of people learned from that. I was like, you need to go out if you're going to make a movie based off something that people love. Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Yu Yu Hakusho, any of those things. Get the biggest group of nerds that watch that stuff, and they are your consultants. They are your people that say, yeah, that you can do this. No, you can't do this. This is what this should look like. This is what that needs to look like.
Or even kids. Kids are blunt. When I showed Kid up that Sonic, he was like, what's wrong with his teeth? That was the first thing he beeline to.
Yeah.
Like, because the smile was so creepy.
Well, that's the thing. I love the Sonic movie. I want to clear it up. I made it sound like it was a horrible movie. No, I absolutely love the Sonic movie.
We're looking forward to the sequel.
I want to see the sequel. And when they said that, I
Tails.
They got Tails, but they said they had somebody who was going to play Knuckles, and I can't remember. First it was The Rock, and then they changed it to somebody else.
I thought the guy playing Knuckles I don't think it's Batista. I thought it was Homeboy from Suicide Squad. I think it is Homeboy from Suicide Squad going to play Knuckles.
Idris Elba?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that too. That'll be fine. I can hear his voice as Knuckles.
Yeah.
I'm on board. If they want to do another movie, I won't go to the theater and see it right now with COVID.
No, stream it. Stream it.
And that's the other thing. I like the hey Diana. I like the people and the production companies that are like, you can go to the theater and see it, or you can catch it on this app, because that gives people a choice. It's not limiting people to hey, if you want to go see this, we're going to force you out to go see it.
Look, I know you want to save movie theaters. We have been trying to figure out, because our theater is open again, we want to support them. We don't want COVID.
Yeah.
Even vaccinated, I don't want to be in a crowded area with people. We literally have people eating popcorn off the floor in our movie theater.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be around them before the pandemic.
They sent my new donation stuff to your channel, but no alert.
Aww,
I'm sorry. I don't know why that didn't do that.
Aw, Subiversary. Yeah, I mean...
Subiversary. Does this make up for no alert?
I feel like, especially Disney right now, is getting on my nerves.
I just vogue?
Yes, you did just vogue. Yes, you did. Wow. Oh my goodness.
I'm surprised I knew what that was. Revlon.
Wow. You're a mess. Disney pisses me off though because I'm trying, y'all.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying.
We're gonna try to pull it together.
Okay. Oh, PayPal has your money.
Nice. Thank you, Zai. I appreciate that support.
But the thing that pisses me off about Disney is they have Disney Plus. They could, if they wanted to, in a gesture of goodwill, set a price to stream movies from the theater and give movie theaters a cut if they really want to help movie theaters out. But nobody wants to play. They want to play around like it's still safe to go out. And I tell people all the time, the vaccinations are good because it gives us antibodies to fight COVID. But for those of us who don't want to get it in the first place because we are autoimmune compromised or we just don't want to be that sick, being in a movie theater right now is not it. There is not a movie right now, even Spider-Man, and I really want to see that new Spider-Man.
Really want to see Tom
Don't
Holland.
want to sit in a movie theater.
Really want to see Tom Holland's last foray of Spider-Man. Well, hopefully not his last foray, but the one he was contracted for.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's just like, I get that everybody wants to move us forward and get us back to normal. But we're not there.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ever going to feel
you can't
100%.
You can't force normal just because you want normal.
Yeah.
You have to go with what everything shows. And a lot of stuff is, you have people that are like us. We just don't go out because we don't want to be around people that aren't, they're very adamant. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to go get a vaccine. I was like, I was scared to go get it, but I went and got it. I was like, I finally got to the point of, you know what, what's going to happen to me is going to happen to me, whether I like it or not. And I have the viewpoint of, I can go get it and ignore all these misinformation things that are not true about it and be protected, or I can not go get it and potentially die. That's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I had a sore arm for 2 days. Today, my arm is fine. I didn't even notice it. It was a little tense this morning. I'm perfectly fine. I didn't get. I got lucky, I guess. I fell into that 85% group of people that didn't get tired or anything like that. Now the second shot, maybe it'll be worse. Maybe it won't. I won't even notice it. Who knows?
Exactly.
But it was nice to get a little sense of normalcy while I was in the store and everything. But I'm still not to the point of, well, okay, I'm just going to go in everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not safe. It's not something that just everybody should do or should be doing, because you got people that, I had 3 people that walked in around me not wearing a mask.
And then we have people in our state pushing their way into schools and acting like fools about not being safe, spending money, like thousands of dollars on a fake vaccine card when you could get the real one for free and get inoculated. So it's like I said, I want to support movie theaters because we used to go to the movies. It was the one thing that our introverted butts would enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to that point where even if it was a little bit of us in a movie theater right now, if somebody coughed, I'm out. I'm ready to light a match, burn the shit down, and get out of there.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no, I don't want to be in that situation.
That happened to me. I'm sitting there waiting for the pharmacist to fill out the paperwork for me so that I could get my shot. And some old boy about probably at least 6 feet away from me, probably more like 10 or 15 feet away from me, coughed and was talking to one of the other things, and I was just like, just calm down, it's fine, you're wearing your mask, everything's going to be good, you can't run out of the store screaming, you're already in here, so you might as well just get this done.
And that's the thing, it's just like, social anxiety is a real thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to go through that just to enjoy a movie. Movies should be relaxing. When we watch Suicide Squad, which is another adaptation that they fucked up the first time, but the Suicide Squad was fun to watch.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I'm just watching a movie. It felt like I was experiencing a story.
And the story made sense.
Yes.
The first Suicide Squad did not make sense because it's like, where's the Justice League? Mm-hmm. They're obviously here because I believe in the first Suicide Squad movie, Batman actually, or at least the Batmobile was in that.
Yeah.
So the heroes were there. They just chose not to battle Enchantress at all. So you sent the Suicide Squad in? No. With this Suicide Squad, the fact that they didn't want the heroes knowing what was going on fit perfectly in there. It was like, this is something that we can't send these people to because if they found out, it would become public knowledge and it would tarnish the reputation. And that works perfectly. I was like, that is what you send the Suicide Squad in to do.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I was like, James Gunn, no matter what people think about old Twitter posts or whatnot, he really takes a source, he reads it, he breathes life in it. Even if he's changing the canon, because like everybody loves Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the movies too. But he gave Guardians Warlock and the Infinity Rocks' story.
Yeah.
So if you're a nerd like me, it's like, yeah, I wish he would have just did that with Adam Warlock and crew. Yeah. But he makes you love the character so much that you forget that he took one group story and totally made it another group story.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you can't do that. If you have a better character that'll fit, like, hey, you know what? People don't know this character, but they do know this character, so I'm going to put this character in that spot.
But how much would you have loved Danny DeVito as Pip the Troll?
I would have liked to see that. I honestly miss seeing Danny DeVito in stuff. I loved him as the Penguin.
Yeah.
I love those first two Batman movies.
Exactly.
I was really like the fact that we found out that Robin Williams was supposed to play the Riddler in the third Batman movie for that series. I was heartbroken. I was like, I did not know that. I don't want to know that because now all I'm sitting there thinking about is
how good multiverse that happened.
Would that have been? Now I want Rick's portal gun so that I can go into that universe where it was made and watch it.
Yeah, because I bet that universe would have had smarter people.
Yeah, probably didn't have any COVID.
Yep, exactly. But I'm telling you, speaking of Rick's portal gun, we watched the season.
Nice segue, right?
Yeah, very nice. We watched the season
Not
finale.
Not just a hat wreck, my friend. Not just a hat wreck.
That Crow Rick stuff threw me off for a bit. He almost lost me.
I love the Crow Rick stuff. I thought that was cool. That was like very Vampire Hunter D kind of stuff that I was just like, I don't want the rest of the show to be that.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed that version of Rick.
I just think they drove in a bit too hard that Rick's an abusive son of a bitch. And why?
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they got it where he's starting to be aware that the way he treats Morty is toxic. But it's like you don't run away from them.
Spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Sorry.
I guess we should put that there will be spoilers in the title.
Yeah. If you're watching our cast,
we try our best not to, but it's been almost a week since Rick and Morty. So if you haven't seen it, sorry.
And I mean, we haven't even given like the meat of it. It's just the beginning really stressed that Rick is starting to see how toxic his attitude is, but he's still doing the same thing of running away. Yeah. And I don't like that theme. You can't just keep running from problems.
But I think it's also like Rick is learning how to grow again. Like what he went through in his past. I'll be as vague as possible about this. Yeah. What he went through in his past changed him to being the very kind of like apathetic person that he is. And over the transition of all these series, of the 4 or 5 series that we've had, he's slowly kind of getting back to that point to where he was before it happened.
I hope so, because, like I said, I feel like Morty is getting more desperate for Rick's approval versus Rick feeling like his family is a liability. Right. That's the whole vibe that this whole season was giving me in the first place. It was like he kept finding ways to move through each of them. It was like he was sizing them up, their value, what they bring to his goals, and all of them failed at some point.
Yeah, but I think toward the end of it, he got to see that he actually does need his family. I think that's something
Well,
where
that's that one episode where they kept making copies of the family, which I thought that was exhausting. That episode tired me out.
that one was funny because I knew where it was going as soon as they hit like the second or third one. I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those episodes where it's just copy after copy after copy after copy after copy. And
ooh, there was so many copies.
Yeah, but I like the like I love the end of it where they're all in the spaceship. It's like, hey, we haven't run into space path. And it's like, what about all the decoy family? It's like, what? It's like,
yeah.
Like you didn't learn from making a copy of your daughter the first time. You went and made another copy of everybody,
and they all went ballistic. And it's like, this is what happened. I joke about it all the time. If there's a multiverse, which, with the Marvel movies coming up, there's going to be a lot of multiverse talk, y'all. But if there's a multiverse with other versions of me, I probably wouldn't want to meet them. Because for everyone that acts like
we don't need a multiverse. We got Zai right there. And she is like the little sister you didn't get.
You are the little sister I've always wanted.
I'm gonna, as much as I want to get you two together, I feel like that'd be like the Ghostbuster movie, whereas like you got the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and I just need to keep you two separate.
You're so crazy, but for real, I feel like
what happened? They opened the door to chaos. Something that looks like Trigon came out of it.
The season had a lot of good. Like, you could see where he's finally touching upon a lot of the old canon, but there were so many WTF moments in this season, including the space incest baby.
Yeah.
And the turkey episode, which my brain is like completely put that in the vault. I can't rethink about that episode. It was freaking weird. I don't want my Thanksgiving ruined, so I don't want to think about that episode.
I like the fact that like Rick talks like he knows he's in a show. He's like pulling the Deadpool.
Yeah.
It's like, the Citadel. It's like, I don't want to go to the Citadel. The Citadel's canon. Like, can't we just go have some random non-canon-y adventures?
Yeah.
And I was like, I like the fact that he is actually referencing, like, people want to know this and they won't leave him alone. So it's like, fine, if you want to know here, you can know it. Yeah. And I like the fact that he's nodding like, okay, now will you guys shut up about it so I can just make my show.
What kills me is they've laid the seeds for all these multiverse Ricks and how he created his own, like, spectrum. There has to be one where the wife didn't die though. There has to be.
Yeah, there's tons of those.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing is when I don't know, like the wife eventually dies at some point.
Yeah.
But it's the way that I understood it was Rick leaves the family.
Yeah.
And that was almost came out bad because I tried to say leave and Rick at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was going to come out that Rick reaved the family. And I caught myself. But I almost didn't. Almost didn't do it. But yeah, and that's he just goes and stays with those versions of his family because the Rick that actually was in that universe decided to go live at the Citadel,
Yeah.
But it's like, how many times can that happen? I was like, how many, like, supposedly the multiversal, theory is every time you make a decision, the opposite decision is also made, and that creates another multiverse thing. It's kind of like the end of Loki where you saw that timeline, and then they all started to branch off at the end.
Yeah.
So it's just like every decision he makes. So like if he decides to have toast instead of a bagel in the morning, there's two multiversal theories, and it just keeps branching off from that. Because
I mean, I think it might be a little bit deeper than that. Like, for the most part, your multiverse counterpart might be doing almost the exact same thing as you, but if you do something completely big, like become a warlord or become famous, your paths might split off from there because one person's influence in one area might be different from the other version of you. There might be Greg that, while you're a mild-mannered writer who likes to do voiceover things, is a complete, military general in another multiverse. Just slaughtering.
I can't see that. Greg's too lazy.
You're a mess.
Greg can barely bring himself to do a stream once a week. I know what you're talking about.
I think, like, for me, though, I worry about a multiverse, Tim, because the reason I am the way I am is a combination of fuckery that should have really turned me into like a serial killer. I don't lie. A lot of studies have said that people who have been raised under the kind of stress and who have the mental health that I have would easily go over to that. And I tell people all the time, if I didn't have stuff lined up the way it did, fall in love with you, being a mom, I could have
You're
worked for
welcome, world.
I could have worked for a
I took
government
the bullet
agency.
for all of you.
So crazy. I could have seriously worked for a government agency where my job would have been to get stuff done. I literally do not have that portion of your brain that goes, that's not right. I have that if it helps the greater good, let's get it done kind of attitude.
Mm-hmm.
That can be dangerous if it's not, monitored and taken care of. And that is what a true sociopath is. I know some people like to glorify it, but it's not a glorifiable thing. You don't want somebody that doesn't see any problem with doing wrong if they can justify that wrong, and a wrong can be justified if you can see the bigger picture in it.
And I just don't care.
You're a nut. But I feel like with Rick and Morty, I'm looking forward to the next season now. Unlike 4, which almost made me go.
4 was hard to get through.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe on a rewatch now that we know what 5 has in store, if 4 would be any better.
I don't know. It was a drag. That was the first time I sat through a season of
kind of like some stuff is kind of like Unbreakable. Yeah. The first time I watched that movie, I didn't care for it, but the more I watched it, the more I started to like it. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe season 4 Rick and Morty is not one of those things. Like maybe if I watch it a bit more, it'll kind of grow on me. But yeah, that was hard. After the end of season 4, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to stick around for season 5.
Yeah, because it was just I felt like Dan Harmon was just telling everybody that he was getting on my nerves. I'm going to do what I want. Here you go. And I get how he was making fun of a lot of stuff, but it felt like it was a bit too much filler and not enough tying in all the seeds that he laid, or at least if you're going to be nonsensical. Like, I loved some of the nonsensical stuff on Earth because he still kept it focused on the family. Like all the stuff Summer was going through with her boyfriends and her self-esteem, all the stuff that Beth and Jerry was going through. Even though some people probably thought that was boring, I liked it because it felt like a realistic approach inside fiction that kept you wanting to watch. In the 4th season, he was going for more fantastic stuff and more out of this world stuff, and it just did not resonate. The toilet episode was just fucking weird.
Yeah, I forgot about that toilet episode.
Yeah, and that's how bad 4 was. You can literally forget about.
The bad part of the Rick and Morty episodes, it's like you can do nonsense episodes, but you have to you can't do a whole season of nonsense episodes.
And I mean, it wasn't like 5 got away from that either. Like I said, the turkey episode, which I refuse to think about, is in the vault, y'all. He can do that. And I mean, he has ways. It's just like the snake episode, where you could see the homage to Terminator and stuff, but it was still like, man, what the heck is Carmen smoking?
Yeah.
Because who thinks of stuff like that?
I don't know. I kind of like the Voltron episode, though, a little bit. That was pretty funny.
Weasel thing. Because he combined that with like the casino / what's that? All those gangster movies, basically Scarface,
Mafia, stuff like that.
Yeah. So it was fun. You can see where his influence lays, and I love watching Rick and Morty because a Gen X guy wrote it. When you see references that we'll get automatically because it was our childhood, but other people are like, huh?
Well, I want to relook at I think it was season 3 that they got separated from their toxicity.
Yeah, I think that was season 3.
And I think there was a little robot that looked like Voltron. I want to go back and check that out and see if that was the ferrets.
That would be
if that was a direct, he laid the groundwork for that, and then he actually did the full ferret episode later.
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to see if it was just a Voltron thing, just he had a fun idea to make it look like that.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, he pulled a lot from probably his childhood and a lot of our childhood. So I really am looking forward to season 6 now. season 5 definitely redeemed this series
Yeah,
for me.
yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to season 6. I wish we wouldn't have had to like wait a week to see the hour episode that they had. I don't know why. Like, was there something weird going on that they did that?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Cartoon Network. All I know is that the show after it was crap, and I'm not going to watch
Yeah,
that.
that weird.
It was something about fumigation and the
No,
mother coming back from the
they were
dead.
euthanasia
Yeah,
something.
I
That no,
that seems.
no,
I hate to like
no,
negative review anything because
no.
I know people are like you should give only positive, but I'm gonna be quite blunt about this.
Preemptive strike.
It's
That
gross.
show's gonna suck.
It's not even remotely interesting. They could have, if you want to talk about somebody coming back from the dead and causing chaos, there are better ways of doing it without making the mother so gross and just nobody's likable in that series.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing these new wave cartoons where everybody is it's like Squidbillies on acid for me. I
Yeah.
don't like that kind of cartoon either.
Yeah, and
they just go over the top to just be nasty too.
It's not just that it's nonsensical, because you can have good nonsensical stuff. The thing that I hate is there was no option to not watch it, because we wanted to catch. We saw the season finale of Rick and Morty. We wanted to catch the re-airing of it so that we could watch it again
and catch some of the stuff we
missed or re-see some of the stuff that we liked. And it was like, you don't want to go somewhere else and get pulled into that story, and then you forget to come back, so you sit there, and it's like when Walking Dead used to
that buddy call
into the Badlands, between the episodes, and it's like, I want to watch comic book men after Walking Dead. I was like, why do I got to sit through Walking Dead, into the Badlands, another Walking Dead, and then I get Comic Book Men, which now got taken off the air because the viewership was down. I was like, well, no wonder you bumped it back from everything that
Nobody's gonna stay up at till 1 a.m. to watch people haggle over comic books.
Yeah.
The reason we like Comic Book Men was because we not only seen them work deals with people, but you never knew who was going to be in the shop, and it was a nice show. But they put it on too late. We had work. We had things we had to get done.
I was like, you didn't have time to sit there and be like, okay, I got to sit through 2 1-hour shows, another show that they're trying to raise viewership on so that I can watch this. I was like, if you want to do that, you do Walking Dead, do you're Into the Badlands if you have to have it on there, then you do Comic Book Men, then do the re-air.
Yeah.
I was like,
or AMC had a good idea, and they could have taken it with another YouTube idea that I watched and had a whole geek night and probably had a bunch of viewership. They could have took the Comic Book Men idea and then that speed dating thing that they do at conventions, which I don't know if they're doing right now because of COVID, but there's a group that organizes this geek dating thing, and I watched a few of their episodes that were on YouTube, and I was like, that would have been an interesting show.
Yeah.
Because how many people have found somebody that they wanted to date or even the love of their life doing geeky things? We met in the game, and I know a lot of couples who've met in gaming and at conventions. You know, especially since they have like a Netflix dating show where people dress up in prosthetics and try to date. I think that when you can find somebody that you feel comfortable in cosplay and just talking and then going out on a date, that would have been an interesting show. And they could have segued that, Comic Book Men, and a few other geeky things and had a gold mine.
I don't know what's like, at what level do you get into a corporation or organization like that where you go, what's the worst thing we could do, and then you push that, like you don't ask it, like it's like they ask somebody, hey, what would you guys like to see? Okay, we're gonna do the extreme opposite of that.
Yeah.
I was like, that only works in One Punch Man, and that's because it was hilarious.
Exactly.
That doesn't work in everything else.
You're gonna do that, it's gotta be funny. And the problem with that so I don't want to get away from what I really don't like about that series. I keep blanking on the name because it's that horrible. I'm probably never gonna watch it again. Was the fact that not only did they make the mom disgusting and abusive, but then they tried to make it seem like she was pitiful because her life sucked so much and that everybody treated her like dirt. And it's like, you know what? I don't feel sorry for anybody in this show. They made fun of the way Eastern European cultures are. It wasn't even interesting to see like the funeral experience because as much as I've watched, things about how people treat the dead and embalming and everything else, to just see it just mocked and the way people act, treat like especially older women who, study those techniques. That's why we had so many good embalming and death practices. I just like I don't know where Cartoon Network's going with these cartoons, but you could have paid the guys from Venture Brothers to give us the next season. You know, it
Yeah.
just bothers me that people don't seem to understand that you could pretty much keep series that fans have been wanting to see on instead of giving all these crappy series more play. I want to see what they wanted to do with the Venture Brothers. I definitely wanted to see Homeboy's plans for Metalocalypse. They should have allowed him to make that movie.
I'm really hoping that HBO will just buy the rest of the Cartoon Network show because I think we're probably a good 3 to 5 years away from seeing Cartoon Network just fall apart.
Yeah.
Unless they do something to change their programming, Teen Titans Go is not going to keep that thing afloat.
No.
They've completely anything that had promised to be a good show, they've driven it off their network.
And for some reason, they don't like serialized storytelling anymore. And I get some people don't have the patience for it, but if you want the people who are actually going to spend money on product to keep watching, you're going to want at least another good serialized series because that's what we grew up on.
Yeah. And kids can follow storylines like that. I know that like one of their arguments was, well, kids can't pay attention to that. It's like, no.
Kiddo and I watch Steven Universe from beginning to future.
Yeah. Kids can definitely follow that, and
they can. On it.
And if you teach like the cartoons, I hate to say it, but like all the little PSAs at the end of cartoons when we were kids and stuff, you can use cartoons to teach kids lessons.
Yeah.
Those cartoons weren't bad, but you have to incorporate it in such a way that it doesn't feel like you're forcing a lesson down someone's throat. It's not that weird campy like what's that?
Like the Sailor Moon stage or the G.I. Joe and No It's Half the Battle?
No, I love those. Those little PSAs are great. I'm talking like actually in the show, you can teach people like we're gonna build an episode on telling someone you shouldn't make fun of somebody because they're different.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that entertains the kid but also teaches them that that's not right without it being like those YouTube videos, which I still kind of like those too. But the ones that are real campy, like they have the guy that works in the automotive shop, is like, we're going to rip this lady off. You just pay attention to me because she's a
those Darman.
She doesn't know what she's Darman stuff. Those videos are like horrible because there's nothing natural about them. Yeah, because like we watched the one with the corporate lady that was like, well, I got an idea. We can take and do a TikTok video and get you guys some exposure that way. Or, no, we need to go newsprint. That's the only thing that we can do, and that's the only thing that'll work. We're going to sink all our money into this outdated format.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one actually, like, there are people that act like that, but no one actually speaks that way unless you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But
it's for me, I feel like they really think that dumbing down the format will work, and it's not even really driving up sales and stuff. And for me, like, case in point, teenagers. My son will sit whenever we're watching like a serialized thing. He comes in and he'll watch it with us. It's the same for Looney Tunes, but he really sat through all of Comedy Summer Kids' first season with us. He was pulled into the story. He wanted to see what happened next.
Yeah, and he asked questions and he participated in the show, and that's what it is. You can get kids to participate in the show, but you have to give them. You can't just be like, "Oh, you're a kid. You're going to enjoy this because it's animated."
Yeah,
and a lot of people do that.
That was the problem with Silverhawks. Yeah. I tell people all the time. That's why part of me is cautiously looking forward to the reboot because, like I said, I remember Young Tin back in the day getting excited because the music gets you hyped. Right. It's like, this is a really good theme song. And then you sit through and it's like, this is gross. This doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, and it's the that's not what I wanted. That is definitely not what I wanted. Did I just close? No, I didn't. Okay, we're good. I'm sorry. I'm messing with something, folks. Just ignore me for a minute.
I was like, why doesn't this show match the energy that the song gives? And then you try and you look at Thundercats. I was like, they really tried to carbon copy Thundercats, and they even tried to make it make sense. So my brain is like, I really hope that this reboot they plan on doing with the series makes sense, because I really love the theme to the show, but I really hate the show.
Yeah. Well, that's why I haven't even watched that Thundercats new one, the
Yeah.
Thundercats
Oh,
Roar.
yeah.
I was like, no, I don't want to see Thundercats. That was a good show. I liked it, and it didn't. Even the remake they did before this,
Yeah.
that remake wasn't bad. It got watchable. It kind of sucked because it's like they tried to. You were expecting something similar, like the first show, and they was like, no, we're going to go a different route with it. But once you adjusted to that,
yeah,
it got watchable. I liked actually the mythos they put behind it, and everything.
We both liked the new He-Man adaptation as well. So
yeah, that Revelations was not bad. I get why fans got.
Only thing that irked us was Tila's attitude.
Yeah, I get why fans got upset about it, but it's like that's normal. That's now you have to watch season 2 when season 2 comes out. It's like, why are you guys throwing something?
And it wasn't a gotcha like the Negan Bat thing. We've seen Adam get hurt again. It didn't say he died.
No, and that's the same thing. It's like, I want to see more. If Netflix cancels that, I'm gonna be mad, because I want to know what happens in the rest of that story. You guys got me intrigued, and then you just abandoned it because everybody had an issue with it. No, give me
us the next part of that chapter.
Yeah.
And speaking of the next part of that chapter, I know some people have their argument against it, but I, after watching the Matrix trailer, want to see it.
Yeah.
They have made me, after I gave up on that series, want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing the story. I want to see what they're doing with all those pills, because we've had theories on what it could be.
Yeah.
Whether I liked your idea that it is a simulation within the simulation within the simulation.
Yeah. My idea was because if you remember from the first movie when they had Morpheus chained up, they were talking about how humans define their existence through misery and suffering. And I was like, what if the Matrix wasn't the real Matrix? The Matrix was just a simulation inside the Matrix, and that world that they were in that was all polluted and the sky was dark and had the drones and stuff, that was the Matrix, and there was a level outside of that that's the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that might be the way they go here, because in the trailer you get to see him taking, like, what is it, purple pills?
It looked purple.
Yeah, so I think we're going to find out those pills are suppressing his abilities somehow, and they're trying to keep him contained inside the Matrix until the Matrix can actually reabsorb him, and he's fighting it. Yeah. So I'm very, very interested, but I think they need to, because I was looking online and they said, reason why we didn't see Lawrence Fishburne in the trailer. And when you saw someone that looked kind of like him, he had the same glasses, and they said, well, canonically, Morpheus dies in one of the video games.
Which I don't think that's right. Don't use video games. So.
I get you wanting to hold on to the continuity of your movies, but I also saw something that said in the same article that said that this movie is going to kind of undo the 2 Matrix movies. So you're going to go Matrix and then skip the middle 2, either as they didn't happen or the events in this movie will cause them not to happen. If you're going to do that, Morpheus needs to be in the movie, because everybody loved Morpheus.
Yep.
You cannot, the fact that you want to do a Matrix movie and you don't want him in it, no, that's not going to end well.
And it's weird that, I know a lot of us love Trinity. We love the whole love story, but you're really ham-fisting it, because some of the best movies I've seen, some of the best storylines I've seen didn't push that whole romance lean down our throats either.
Right.
And the story is supposed to be Neo saving the world from the Matrix no matter what. Having her by his side is nice, but they weren't the only 2 working on that.
Yeah.
And I would love to see not only Morpheus back, but a lot of the characters that were helpful in inspiring the Neo to keep going. And I'm hoping they bring back that unity, because I feel like a lot of people forget that nobody ever goes at it alone.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. we were talking about how long we were going to keep HBO Max as an app to for watching and stuff. I was like, well, now we're keeping it through till Christmas because that's got to be a thing.
Plus, with Harley Quinn season 3 coming up soon, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to watch.
There's a lot of shows. We're not sponsoring the HBO app, but there is a lot of good stuff on there.
All the cartoons that we loved watching on Cartoon Network before it started to suck.
Now we would
a lot of shows.
We would sponsor if they wished. I mean,
we're not shooing away sponsors.
It's like if you want,
we're just letting you know that
HBO. If you need some spokespeople for you,
exactly. We're just saying that we use it.
Yeah, it's something. Period. It's something we use, and we advocate stuff that we use.
And we're grateful because, like we said early in the cast, we are introverts, and right now, the anxiety even thinking about sitting in the movie theater isn't worth the cost for us.
Yeah.
So being able to pay that extra to watch, like we watched Suicide Squad, we got comfy, we made popcorn, we sat back.
The only thing we talked about is that depending on the state of how COVID is at the time when this comes out, I might run into the theater to grab some movie popcorn and then run back out again. Like, we're not going to sit in the theater for it, but it depends on
how... We do kind of miss movie popcorn.
We do, because I don't know what it is, and I think everybody can agree with me on this. There is just something about movie theater popcorn. I don't know if it's the popper. I don't know if it's the imitation,
the level of saltiness.
The imitation artificial flavoring butter thing that they put on there. Whatever it is, nothing tastes better than movie theater popcorn in a movie.
Yeah, for me, I agree.
Yeah, so I mean, and I've done it before. I ran in there one time, and they were like, "Hey, how can I help you?" I was like, "I just need 2 medium popcorns, one with extra butter, one with just regular butter, and I'm out." And they go, "You're leaving?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go watch a movie at home." Stuff, and they were like, "Okay."
There are people now door dashing popcorn because you can send somebody in to pick up the popcorn. They're getting their money, so they don't care.
Yeah.
They will sell you the tubs and deliver it to you. I wouldn't pay all that extra because you still got to tip your drivers if they do that for y'all.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are coming up with ingenious ways of getting their movie theater snack without having to sit in a movie theater.
Yeah. And then there's one other thing I wanted to talk about was an actual good adaptation that I've seen from gaming to book and likewise was the Zelda mangas that they've been putting out.
Mm.
I've read almost all of those, and the level of extra story that you get is very nice to see because there's a lot of stuff like if you play one of the ones that I'm currently reading now is the Twilight Princess adaptation, and that is a long series. Like normally it's 1 or 2 books.
Yeah.
But
they can't do 1 or 2 because they got to explain.
There's just so much in that series.
Yeah.
And they went a little bit above and beyond that because they added a whole backstory for Link about where he came from before he ended up in the village, and it shows his village originally being completely destroyed because he pulled a sword out of a stone, kind of like almost like the Master Sword, but it was some cursed sword or something.
Oh, demises.
Kind of. It didn't look like that, but it was kind of like the same thing, and he has nightmares about that because he was the only survivor, and they were basically it was like a group of villagers training for like what Link was supposed to be. They were gonna protect Hyrule, but they were hidden away somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think they used in the manga. I think they used the village, like the old Kakariko village that you find the one lady in.
Yeah.
In Twilight Princess, and I thought that was just great. I was like that could have been added to the gameplay to give it a little bit richer story. So you have a good example of them taking source material and adding to it, and it wasn't in a detrimental way. They found a way to fit more into that story to give people more of what they want, and it didn't take away from the original source material at all.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually really good.
And I say it all the time. The Legend of Zelda has had so many of us for years now, almost 30 years now. And the reason being is because, and there you go, there's a new case. It's a simple story, but it's enough complex stories interwoven in it.
Mm-hmm.
It started out with just in the beginning, just Link going through all those labyrinths to get the Triforce and save the princess. But as you built that world, you started caring about the different tribes and their thing, and the stages and their thing.
Well, yeah.
And even technically, Ganon's story is interesting too.
Yeah, his story is definitely interesting because I think, given everything that you've seen in the stories thus far, they started with a very basic thing. Okay, you're a guy, you get a sword, and now you got to go save the kingdom.
Yeah.
And if you look at Breath of the Wild, Ganon has become something much more than just a pig monster that you meet at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And even like when they combined him with the Gerudo King thief,
Yeah,
in
that
the
Gerudo
Ocarina of Time,
yeah.
they kept that because they realized, okay, this works. This gives him a human form so he can interact with the world other than just the beast monster,
Yeah.
or half pig, half human guy.
And I'm
like
not
you see
even
in the
gonna
animated
lie,
series.
Gerudo Ganon was kind of hot. He was, just saying.
But it kind of gives you the thing of, because I haven't finished the Skyward Sword story at all, but I know it's been out long enough. I've heard the story, um, but you kind of get the feeling that Demise is the power behind him, and how long is Ganon gonna be used basically like a puppet?
Yeah,
Because
until he says, "No, I'm my own."
Yeah, yeah, because he did the same thing to the guy in Twilight Princess, Minda's little, was her brother.
Yeah,
he used him like a puppet.
I love what Drew said.
Yeah,
Satan.
yeah, that was pretty. Our friend Drew had the perfect line for that because it was the really creepy part of the story, and he showed up. Gant, I think his name was.
Yeah, Gant.
And he showed up, and that mask they buffed up, and he was like, Satan. And I was like, that's perfect. That is perfect. That's exactly what I was feeling, and he said it. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing how they built that story. I really wish that they would take another shot at doing an anime of the story, and I really, really would like them to work with Studio Ghibli on that because I've seen a couple of people they did like an adaptation of that, and it looks amazing. But it's Nintendo, and
they got to be careful too because like you love the little cartoons they did in the Super Mario Brothers Super Arrow, and I love the show, but I hated Link talking. And the thing that I really want to see is him going through the adventures, not saying anything at all, and then at the end of the series, when he goes to say something, it goes blank.
Yeah.
Because we're not meant to hear Link's voice.
And you can do that. It's gonna be kind of hard, but there's enough of a setup. The framework is there because Link always gets somebody to help him. Yeah. And every game out there, there's always that one person. There's Navi, there's Fi, there's Zelda in the, what was it, Spirit Tracks?
Yeah, Spirit Tracks is Midna.
Midna. There's always somebody there that usually ends up speaking for Link. Yeah. So you can actually do an animated thing where he never gets to talk. And you can have it be where like he looks like he's gonna talk and then they interrupt him, so he never actually gets to say anything. And then right at the end when he's gonna get to say anything, just cut black. Yeah. That's it. That's all you need. And I was like, and it'll be a perfect story because it'll be exactly what people want. They want, and you won't have to sit there and hear that, excuse me, princess.
Oh, that drove me nuts. His voice just, between the excuse me, princess, and just him talking so much.
A nice nod to that, though, would be like him walking through Hyrule Castle and having somebody go, excuse me, princess, and him just kind of look annoyed back at him or something like that.
Though I will say, I like those YouTube videos you showed me where he's speaking to Japanese and he's explaining why he does not agree with not hitting women. Yeah. Because that cracks me up.
Yeah, there's videos online that show like authentic, quick playthroughs of Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, and it's hilarious. Google it, search it out. You'll laugh because there's a lot of stuff that's funny in that.
It really is. But we are going to get ready to wrap it up, y'all. Thank you so much for sitting with us on this Gen X Cynics cast. We will have this one up on YouTube tomorrow for those of you who didn't get to see the live cast. Thank you so much. We also want to thank you for being on our Twitch site and on our Twitter sites. We really appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow with my D&D group. That's live for about 4 or 5 hours. Axiom will be back on Monday with his Mario Mondays. If you want to submit a code, we have our Discord that you can put your code in and you get priority
Maybe for you
plays.
to mention all this stuff. I'm the one that's got to type it in.
Oh,
You saw how hard I had to hit writing out YouTube. I couldn't even write that for a second.
good lord, man. You just like my side eye. This is side eye ejection.
Doesn't matter. I can edit it out in the future video.
Good lord. Yeah, and he's been having fun with that, y'all. He has been. You should check out his YouTube. He's got some pretty fun videos up now with a new opening and closing. It's pretty cool. But yeah, we will be back in some way, shape, or form during the week. I'd like to thank everybody for constantly giving us your love and support via donations or just via watching the channel. And we will be back again next week, but we're gonna get ready, head out,
Yep,
get some
we're gonna
dinner
go get
for
some
us and
dinner
the
and
team.
whatnot. So everybody take care. If you go out, please wear your masks.
Yes.
If you haven't been vaccinated, please try to find a way to do so.
Yeah.
If I did it, anybody can do it.
Yep.
How's
Sam?
How's Sam? Everybody take care of yourselves, and we will see you later. Love you.